So, hi, hello everyone. My name is Yuval, and today I'm gonna talk with you about the Move Your Cheese, Pragmatic Security in a code-centric world. Okay, so a bit about myself. Today I work as a senior full-stack developer at Protego. Before I was a team leader in several startups, and many years ago on Ex Libris. We're in Protego, we are a startup, we're located in Jerusalem, in Israel. Actually, we landed here, me and Daniel, last night. And thank you, Tony and Joe and Phil, and forget your name, but thank you for the meetup, and really interesting so far. In Protego, we are a startup that focuses on a serverless security solution, code-centric automated serverless security solution. Our customers are companies that working on serverless and want their product to be secure. All right. So what I'm going to talk today is a little bit about what is serverless. I saw that most of you already work with this technology. What are the security challenges and the opportunities that serverless give us? How serverless application can be attacked with some demo. And how automation, code-centric, can prevent attack. All right, and a short summary. All right, so let's start. One of the famous cliches that I heard is the cloud is the new OS, the new operating system, which means, of course, it's not an OS, but cloud gives us almost everything we need. We just need to know how to communicate with it, with the API, with configuration. And if we look at about the cloud evolution from on-premise to serverless, you can see that the cloud providers get more and more control about our application, and all we need to take care about is configuration and application. All right, and actually it's good because I guess Amazon can do a better job than anyone in our company or in your company on scalability, monitoring, patching. And for me, it's good because I can focus on the things that I know about writing an application, about configuration, and that's it. I don't want to manage with all this dirty around. All right. Okay, like every new technology that comes, as a security people, we need to ask ourselves, what are the challenges that we have, and what are the opportunities that we have? All right, so, just a second. So, the big difference between serverless and non-serverless application is the perimeter. Right, if you, by the way, who play with serverless already? Who wrote Lambda function here? All right, almost half of you. So you know, there is no perimeter. There is no something around that you can tell, this is my container, this is my server, and it talks with the RDS, it talks with S3, with Dynamo. There is no way to block it, to say I put some WAF after my API gateway, I put something between the application and the database, and my application will be secure, right? It's very difficult. All right, most of the serverless architecture will look similar like this. Very complicated, a lot of Lambda functions that no one knows what's going on there. It's very difficult to debug, and yes, you need to deal with it. Okay, permission. You have something like 5,000 permissions, 300 dependencies, 300 functions. It's very difficult to defend it. And yes, the velocity of serverless, there are many updates. Usually you're making like 10 updates a week. Very difficult to monitor everything and to know what's going on. Okay, so when things become a bit complicated, I was thinking about football. Let me try to explain the serverless challenges in football aspect. Imagine you are in 2009, and you need to defend you are the England manager. What the name is? Who's your manager now? Whatever. You need to think about some way to defend your goal, all right? So you put Rio Ferdinand, John Terry in the middle, you put some WAF on after the API gateway, you're playing against Italy or Messi on the wing, so you put Ashley Cole on the left, you put something, some Rasp on the agent, something, okay, so I'm okay, I know this is my defense. But what's happened on serverless, if you play with it, you know that Lambda function can be triggered from many resources, from SQS, from S3, from IoT. So what happens if the ball can come from, 50 balls are coming from the sky and from the crowd and I don't know where. Okay, let's back to leave the football. Okay, so because what is the big problem with serverless for security people, development, and DevOps, and how does it affect on each one of you? Many years ago, I worked with some security person, call him Yuri, and he told me the most problem in our application, the most unsecure, the security issues that we have, is because you are writing code, developers. And actually, he's right, because we need to write code, we need to deploy something to the customers, and it's making some security issues. So what usually security people does, they kind of, most of you are developers, right? As I understand. Anyway, most of security people, they locked us in kind of cage. They tell us, okay, I will open them only this specific port. I will put the RAF that we spoke and some firewall, database firewall. Okay, and I say, okay, the developers will write their stupidity there, but it won't get to they won't get to the real world. And okay, so now as security people, I'm in control. I know what's going on. What's happened in serverless, the developers get much more power. They can change many, each Lambda function has a different role. It's not that you have one role per container or per server, and you can control it. Developers have much more access to the IAM, to the AWS console. And before I worked with serverless, I was logging there like once a week, once a month. Okay, it's work, I don't care. But now you need always you get much more power, and you need to make sure that you know what you're doing. And DevOps, because you're the bridge between the security people and the developers. I'm going to talk about the solution later, but think about some automation. Or we need to think about how can I control it with some automation tools, all right? So I want to show you a short demo. It's a bit complex, so if you feel or not, I just want you to understand the concept of this example. Actually, we have a full article in our website, about 1 hour to explain everything, but I wanted to take something from here, okay? So, command injection. Everyone know what is command injection? Okay, basically, if my Lambda function get input from somewhere, from some user input, the user can write malicious code that will make my function, I don't know, return him all the list of files, do some command, okay? So imagine, ignore all the arrows around. Imagine that I have a Lambda function that can be triggered by uploading a file to S3 bucket. Okay, this is the trigger file. And the Lambda function, all you need to do later is to do some get object from other S3 bucket and making some process with it. All right, okay? So, as an attack, and the most important thing, my function is vulnerable because I didn't write correct code. Just a few words. It's very easy for us as developers to think that to know that we need to validate all the inputs that come from post request, if we use an API gateway or something, it's not so easy to think about, wait a second, I need to validate the data that comes from SQS, from S3, from IoT. It's not so trivial for us. It's a bit, it's a different concept than in server world. Anyway, let's back to the example. So our hacker, the attacker, was uploaded a malicious file to the trigger bucket, and with this file, it make my function upload my AWS credential to the S3 bucket. Okay, then it was able to read the credential and try to get all my Dynamo tables, all my S3 bucket, and all my roles. Okay. And because this Lambda has access to the S3 world, so it was able to steal all my data that was stored in the buckets. Okay, you want to see it, this demo live? I downloaded it before because I saw that the network is not so good. Okay, and again, we have a full article about it. You can read and see in more details. I just want to see the concept. Okay, so it got my Lambda function, it got my source code, upload the malicious file, stole my credential key, and finally try to get all the data from SQS as Dynamo, and the most important line, AWS S3 LS, got all my bucket and stole all my data. Okay. By the way, it's a real function that we saw in one of our customers. Okay. So in serverless, we saw all the challenges that we have. Let's talk about the opportunities. Okay. In serverless, you need to find a way to optimize your security posture. Posture means passive defense. Okay, I think Liz spoke about it, how they do it in a containers world. In serverless, you need to find we have a tool, okay, but you need to find some tool that will scan your code before it's uploaded to Amazon. We tell you this package is vulnerable. Your code is vulnerable for a command injection, for a SQL injection, whatever. Okay, so if we look at the previous function, so you don't need to understand all the lines here, but finally it's do s3.getObject.read stream. Okay. So as a security people, I say, okay, so this function do S3 wildcard, and the resource is S3. And it's work, all right. In containers, in server, you must use this action and resource because that's what the container need, right? But if you think about, as we saw, it's very dangerous to write this code. So I say, okay, so maybe I will give my function only access to the specific bucket, only to the, I don't know, Yuval 1, 2, 3 bucket. And I say, okay, so it's secure enough. But you remember that in the previous example, we saw that even if somehow the attacker make my function upload all the credential to the S3 bucket. And I say, why? This function only need to do S3.getObject. So why don't use action S3.getObject, right? And without adding any security layer, any automation tool, nothing, we are much more secure in serverless, right? And again, in container, in servers, it's impossible because your server needs much more resources. Okay, we're in Protego, we have some tool that can scan your code before and tell you, okay, this is the action that you need. You only use S3 get object and you only use this bucket. We know how to scan it and what you really need. And I'm also a developer, and it's usually my boss call me at 12 o'clock in the middle of the night. I need this feature for tomorrow in a good case, and in a regular case, I need it for yesterday. It's not that I don't care about security, but say, okay, so I use S3.wildcard, and I will get back to it later. You'll never get back to it later, and it's work, and the customer happy, everyone happy. But it's very dangerous code, and that's it, okay? What other opportunity we have in serverless world? So if you compare serverless to not serverless, imagine that on the left side you have 3 containers. Each application has the gold. Okay, what is the gold? Credit card list, user list that you hold, some I don't know, some data that some images that you store in a S3 bucket. And in this container architecture, there are 4 functions on this container and 5 functions that have access to the gold that you need, right? So if the hacker will find one way to access one of these 9 functions, he will find a way to the gold, right? In serverless, why it's a good opportunity for us? Again, without changing anything, without any additional layer of security that we're going to talk later, there are only 2 functions that have access to the gold, right? So the hacker will minimize our risk without doing anything. Okay, so let's look about this demo. If we have the correct permission for this Lambda. So again, he stole my credential, he uploaded it to he got the credentials somehow, okay? But when he tried to do the last one, s3.ls, you see? An error occur when calling list bucket operation, access denied. Okay, and this is without adding any layer of security. Okay, so it's nice. So we minimize our risk, but some security people will tell me, okay, but I don't want to minimize it. I want to block. I want to know what attacks come into my function. And then the second opportunity the serverless world give to us is, again, in container, it's very difficult to know what's going on. In serverless, it's much more easier to understand what is your function pattern, what is the usual behavior that it does. All right, if I run your code 1,000,000 times, I will see that the function try to read something from some S3 bucket, and that's it. What happens if the 1,000,001? It will do something else. It will try to do some different API, to write to different bucket. So it's a red flag for me. I can block it. I can send you alert. It's much more easier to do it on the serverless world than it was on container or on server. Okay. So in the previous example, we can see that we saw s3.list object. It's not on the whitelist. It's not what I used to see. I'm monitoring your function. I scanned it before. Something happened here. What to do with this information depends on what the DevOps people decide. Okay, and the last thing, defend workload from within. What does it mean? Remember the perimeter example that we spoke before? Let's see the image. Right, as we say, in servers, most of the attacks will come from one way. This is the security concept. They say, I will block it on the API gateway, I block it on the database, and I put some security people that will monitor all the data that come in, and okay, I'm okay with it. And in serverless, the attack can come from many ways. So we need to think about how to move all the security layers into your function, into your resource, and not from outside. Okay, and in our company, the solution, we have something, I don't want to get too much into the details what we're doing, but we say, okay, command injection just happened. How are we doing it? With some layers put on your function, okay? But again, think about the concept of moving the security inside your function. Okay, what solution we suggest? First, as we say, as developers, it's very, very difficult for us to understand what we really need, what are the correct permission, what are the vulnerable packages that we use. So we need to think about some CLI tool that will scan our code before the deployment process, and we tell you, okay, this is the permission that you actually need. And CI/CD, DevOps, this is the place that you come and you say, okay, this is I'm not allowed to function with this level of security to be deployed to my cloud. I block it somehow. And again, we need to think about something that will be in your function. In your function, we tell you that attack just happened, some way to monitor it, and that's what we're doing actually in our company. Okay, so the key takeaways from this talk: serverless security is different. There are new challenges and some new opportunities. Focus on, first, knowing what's going on, minimize your attack surface, connecting development and security team, and find a tool that make it much more easier, okay? Some least privilege, we tell you exactly what you need. And that's it, I think. Any question?